Welcome to Engaging Life, the show where we talk about passions, well-being at work, and everything it means to have an engaging life. Ariel Greenaway is our first guest on the show, and we're just going to talk about kind of her life and what she's been up to and what she's going to do in the future. And I know that right now you work at a library.
That I do.
That you do. But the stereotype of librarians, right?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the
stereotypes of librarians?
Is that they're like very quiet and like studious and just, I don't know, like what would you say the stereotype of librarians are?
Off the bat, probably my manager, who is who is very much your stereotypical librarian, but then she's also your not stereotypical librarian.
Exactly,
because the awesome glasses that she looks over the cuff of when she's getting people's attention, when she'll do the finger right over.
Does she tell people to like be quiet?
Yeah, she's definitely got her shush down very well. It's a very practiced one. It's very interesting. It's shh, and it goes right over the crowd, like,
over the crowd.
Quite literally. A shush comes over the crowd.
So it's not osmosis, it's like right over the crowd.
Yeah, literally.
I'm such a nerd who says osmosis.
So, I mean, but yeah, like the stereotypical librarian glasses, very demure dress, not a lot of flash, very
I feel like I look
prim,
like a librarian right now.
Very prim and proper, things like that. But like, man, some of the librarians I meet are just like so cool.
You're a cool librarian.
They're so cool. Like, I mean, there's this awesome book I took a librarian this coming out. There's this awesome book it's called the Looks of a Librarian, or like what a librarian looks like, and it's literally a photographic like picture or book of different librarians across the state, across the world. Some have tattoos, some have piercings, some have different colored hair, some are short, tall, males. They are males who are librarians.
Just so you know.
Just so you know, yes, you guys are small in number, but you guys are...
That's like hipster librarians.
Yeah, and they're so cool. Like, a lot of our male librarians are pretty neat, and then you also have female librarians, and there's different types of librarians. So you have people like me who are in the public library, but then there are people who work for like Sony and work for Disney who are librarians. Like everything that you can ever think of that has large amounts of content, like movies, DVDs, music, City Hall, all of that. Everyone needs a librarian.
Yeah.
And so when you think of librarianship, it's not like, shh, come sit down, please. It's very broad, and it's very cool. So that's what I've been learning a lot since my position. It's like, wow, it's a field I never really thought I'd be in.
Yeah.
But it's thoroughly surprised me as to what all you can do with it. So
yeah. So how did you get to that point? Like growing up to now, like what got you into this, I'd say, like industry?
Yeah, I stumbled across this position as a necessity. So I loved books growing up. I was always in the library, and I always had like a stack of like 12 to 15 books waiting by my bedside and on the floor for me to get through them, and my sister as well. So consumed a lot of content, but how I never thought to be a librarian.
That was like an emphasis.
Like legitimately never. I loved the library. I loved reading, but I was like, I want to be a librarian when I grew up. Not at all. I am one of those people where I didn't know. I still don't know what my big career is.
Okay.
My way of getting here has kind of been like, so I came here from Georgia, graduated.
For those of you who are listening, she just did a zigzag with her
hands. With my fingers, and I
like
added
up and down, like
added sound effects as if you turning the corner of that zigzag. So yes.
So hopefully you can also watch the video.
Please do. You probably will enjoy that. So I came from Georgia, graduated from Kennesaw State University with an African and African diaspora studies major. What that basically is, I studied Black folks, people of African descent, and the communities that they developed around the world.
That's awesome.
And so it was a multidisciplinary degree. So I was learning archaeology, I was learning sociology, psychology, economics.
That's my field.
All of these things together to basically create a multi-layer analysis of a particular phenomenon in Black communities, whether it be in Latin America, whether it be the Sikh community in India, those in the Aboriginals in Australia. Using that multidisciplinary piece, I was able to analyze how these communities come about, how have they thrived, what are their connections back to the continent of Africa. So yeah, my degree was awesome.
I don't even think I knew that.
I loved it. I had the best time. But when I graduated, I didn't know what to do. I had a lot of interests. I had a lot of passions. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I applied for two things. I applied for a AmeriCorps position here in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I got that position. It was the first position I got outside of the state. I didn't want to stay in Georgia after I graduated. So I was just like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
And then the next thing was to apply to a position overseas, which was the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. And so I was like, okay, either way, I'm getting up out of Georgia.
I don't know if that's just a thing that, and I don't even want to use this term millennials go through, because actually I'm on the edge of millennials and the next generation, Generation Z, I think it is. Everybody else just is like, oh, millennials, da 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 da. It's just like,
we get a bad rep. We get a really bad rep, which is interesting because the elders of the millennial generation, it's only 40.
Exactly.
So between 40 and my sister's age, 2 years after my sister's age, so maybe
it's like in the 40s to the 20s right now. Yeah,
23, early 23. So 23 to 40 are literally millennials.
Exactly.
And so it's
such a wide gap.
People are like, well, there goes the millennials again. They must be playing Game Boy.
And you're like, no, you're talking about Generation Z.
What are you talking about? Like, most of us are either in college, entering out of college, either owning or starting our own businesses, and have been in our careers for maybe 10 to 15 years. Yeah. And we're only on the second half of what we're about to do for our lives.
Exactly. But I feel that because right now I live in Florida and I do not want to stay in Florida. But it also could just be I also care a lot about different cultural experiences too, so that could be it too.
It's definitely that. I mean, the South I love, but it's a little bit lackluster in the sense of cultural diversity unless you're in those communities.
Unless you're in the big cities.
Yeah, or you're in the outskirts of those big cities. You can get tastes of diversity, but
even
rural
Florida
Georgia
is
outside of those large spaces, most of Georgia is rural areas. You either have college towns or you have towns that are base are near the Army base, which is our largest one is in Fort Gordon and Augusta. So you have a lot of older, set in their ways, this is how it is type communities, which is fine, and it's perfect for. In
Florida, it's a lot of Confederate flags, and I'm just getting
same
tired
here,
of looking at
them. And you up here, which I always tell people, which is interesting. Though the South tells you straight up where their line is, there's a sense of respectability.
Oh, for sure.
Even if you don't like Black folks like that, or you're not feeling Latinos.
But their people are still friendly, and they're
oddly enough still friendly.
It's very strange, right?
But it's no different.
From the Northeast,
different from the North
weird.
Though. But up here, what I found was people will say the great, all these cute terminologies of I'm against racism, this and that, and I'm a pro this and I'm pro that. But they are not really with it. They can talk the game very, very well.
Legit.
Give you everything where you feel wow, this person's straight up an ally. I ain't got to worry about no Confederate flag, no KKK coming up on my home. But
Have
you
you
find
seen Get
out that, you find out that, you're not in certain meetings because they conveniently forgot to leave your name on the email blast that everybody else gets, and you're the maybe one or second person that's a person of color in your entire firm.
Yeah.
Or you might find out that you're being,
today.
It's just these little microaggressions that happen. That aren't blatant as like if you come down south, you see that Confederate flag, you know what's up, you know what's good, and they know what's up, and they know, and then you go about your day.
Yeah.
But here, they're like, it's like landmines to me.
Yeah.
You think you're good, and then you step the wrong way, boom.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like it here.
That's very, very true.
So sometimes I miss the whole, there you are, I don't like you, you don't like me. I miss it because at least we know,
we know, but there's still an element of, I'm still going to be friendly to you, and it's not underneath the surface.
In a sense, you. But then, even if you're nice, I already know.
Yeah,
what's
but
good,
I already know what you're
yeah.
about. In the Northeast, number one, people are just, I'm going to live my own life and be in my own little corner and not very friendly or cordial at all. So when you make those communities, when you make those relationships, like, oh yeah, I think we're good, and then one day they'll just be like, oh my gosh, are you?
Yeah.
Insert microaggression.
Right.
So, I don't want to call out anything.
No, it's interesting. It's honestly one of the things that have been like a little bit of an eye-opening since I've been here. It's just like, okay, but y'all come for the South? Okay. That's kind of how I feel.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
A lot of the times, but again, unfortunately, it's the same kind of dynamic as when the Civil War came.
And that's
the North thought they were smarter than the South, and the South were just like, look, man, they're traditionalists, but they're intelligent people. Just because you got a brawl or whatever, or just a particular accent, it's like, well, I don't know if you know what you're talking about. So it's kind of interesting.
America definitely has like a
classism to itself. It really does.
Exactly. It really is. And you get things like, I had this one experience when I was visiting England and London, and it was very interesting because they're not used to kind of like openly like open racist and things like that. And so when they experience it, it's very jarring for them.
Interesting.
And so it's more under the surface, and so when it comes up, it's really shocking. Whereas like if you're black in America, you understand.
Yeah,
it's not all black people.
Not all black people, but you
until I don't not all white
there's
people, and some white
internal,
people and other ethnicities and races as
So, but so I mean, shoot, having that degree spoke a lot to how I was able kind of to transition to the North, really, and just transitioning into a whole community. But even that had a lot to do with my upbringing as well. So when I graduated and I applied for those positions, I got the one in DC. It's like, okay, cool, yay. But the one I really wanted was to go overseas.
Yeah. What did you do in DC?
So in DC, I was a City Year AmeriCorps member.
Okay, I love AmeriCorps.
Yeah, AmeriCorps is awesome.
Yeah.
I did AmeriCorps my junior year, or during my junior year of college, and that like.
Wait, while you were in college? I thought it was like you had to wait until you graduated.
Oh no, like there are some programs. Also, with that program, it was an after school. It was an after-school program that taught social and emotional learning.
Okay, and that was like the AmeriCorps that was a part of your university made that program, and so you were a part of that program.
No. So so our university promoted it. However, it was completely outside of my school. It was a complete entity by itself in the sense of that AmeriCorps group, which is Wings for Kids. They partnered with. Public elementary schools in I think it's southeast Atlanta, Fulton County area. That's where I was working, and they partner with those schools to place AmeriCorps members in our programs, doing after school programs.
Gotcha.
So like schools will have certain after school programs apply to be in their school spaces, and we were one of the after school programs that did that, but it just happened to be under the umbrella of AmeriCorps. So AmeriCorps is everywhere, and there's different organizations and agencies within it.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
It's a very
the way that
broad
AmeriCorps
space,
is set up. That was like in my undergrad was that we had AmeriCorps Vista, like
Vista's really big.
Yeah.
And even that, like Vista is its own unit, and then there's NCCC, and then you have everybody else that's in between NCCC and Vista, but they're not.
You're like an AmeriCorps expert.
So it's check out the National Service website. It's very, very great. I mean, honestly, there's a program for everyone.
Yeah.
And if you have the time, you have the money, and you have support, I highly recommend it, because you get experience so quickly. Yeah. And then the fact that you have something like AmeriCorps on your resume, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
It really does. It goes a long way. And it will speak a lot to whatever you do next, whether it's in that same position that you were doing or you going into something different.
Yeah.
And so mine was in education and in teaching social and emotional learning. And so in that aspect, that changed my life, and that was like, oh, I got to do this again, hopefully. Yeah. And so I already was familiar with how AmeriCorps worked. I just wasn't familiar with the agency like City Year. Yeah. And so when I came to DC, worked as a City Year AmeriCorps member, I was like, wow, I had never seen an AmeriCorps organization so structured. I mean, they had their ducks in the row.
Because you're right, they do, like, it varies because it's like each kind of sub-unit head has pretty much control over how they
use their members. Really,
exactly.
They do. And you'll find that there's some AmeriCorps organizations. Let me not say that. It's not AmeriCorps organizations. These are organizations that partner with the National Service to create an AmeriCorps position within their organization.
Exactly, yeah.
And so then that person is paid by the National Service Corporation created by President Clinton. And then the organization itself basically trains them, supplies them their hours, and gives them training, basically. Yeah. So the organization I worked with, they were absolutely amazing. They placed themselves directly in schools that are in need, where the student population either is struggling or needs extra support in order for that all of their children to be in math and reading proficient. Yeah. And so I was in a English language arts classroom in the 3rd grade. I had 2 other AmeriCorps members with me, one in the other English class and then the other in a math class. And so we co-taught our students. We got 15 students we had 15 students for English, and then we also did behavioral coaching. And that's where my previous work as an AmeriCorps member, teaching social and emotional skills, really came into play. Yeah. And so so with that, it was my day started at 7:45 in the morning in Southeast DC. Again, Southeast. I keep finding myself in the Southeast regions of the places I work with. I think where I'll be working next overseas is actually Southeast region.
Maybe this episode.
It's a trend.
I was thinking about titling it something. Maybe it's just Southeast is the name of the
Southeast.
podcast.
I should maybe in my life I'll play on that.
You start
creating
a podcast
something.
like South to Southeast.
So hopefully that or 706 to
totally
Southeast.
see that on a T-shirt. South to Southeast.
That'd be really cool. So. It was an interesting space. I really learned a lot. So when I got done with AmeriCorps, I got done with that. So it was a 11th month commitment, and then from that 11th month commitment, I transitioned into a position with the DC Mayor's Office for Volunteerism, which was called Serve DC. Wow! And so I worked with them for like 4 months, and during that time, I was contracted to work with their youth emergency response team trainer. So I was training like 16 to 21 year olds how to lead or how to teach emergency skills to youth younger than them around the city. And so that was a great experience. I really got to learn DC from the school's perspective, but then I was also able to learn about DC from a structural governmental level, which was really
Yeah.
interesting. So got to see Fords, went to different emergency room agencies.
Yeah.
Got to visit, hop into a helicopter that they use for emergency
You can't just like
evacs.
scroll out.
You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
cool,
like,
man.
I just hopped into a helicopter once.
It's
It
cool.
was no
It's
big
cool. I mean,
deal.
I didn't get to fly, which would have been so cool. But we got to sit in the cockpit. They broke down like what they do because it was with the National Guard.
Okay.
And so yeah, like when I say
just
my
casuals. With
when I say just weird, like not weird, but very unique niche experiences.
Yeah.
That's a little bit
which
mine.
I feel like kind of fits your.
Yeah.
I don't know if MO is the right word, but like.
No, I mean it really is my MO.
Your
Sister.
degree so like specific and specified, and
It is
so
very,
like
yeah.
this experience was so specific and specified.
Yeah, it's so interesting because my degree is specified, but it's so varied. And that's in that specific. It's like it's crazy.
I understand.
It's kind of. I love it though. Like that degree really taught me how to think about everything isn't just linear. Everything has a mode and it has a branch and it connects to here and it connects to there. And how do you take all those seemingly things that don't look like they connect? How do you bridge them?
Yeah.
And make a cohesive comprehension, like what is this concept, what's going on here, name it, identify it, make connections. So that's really that skill level of doing that. That's what brought me into City Year.
I'm getting my like psychological
juggling a lot of things because like with City Year
it's
you
not
have to
linear, it's curvilinear.
yes. Nerd. It's cool. Let me stimulate our brains together.
This is why you studied psychology in grad school. So
Yeah, it's fun. I miss
that.
I miss that intellectual stimulus in that sense. But a lot of real world experiences with that.
And that's what it's so interesting. I found that being in grad school for me has like just made me want to be out in the world.
Yeah.
Even though academia is great and I love it and like I would love to be a teacher one day, it's very interesting because I constantly find myself being like, but these are real people and like real experiences.
Right.
So we can talk about things like theoretically and
that's
conceptually, but experiences do matter. And for the other side, this is your experience, but is it like generalizable to a whole population? So it's very interesting to try to find that balance.
It is difficult. Like one of the biggest things we did while I was in college was like one of my professors and my mentor, Dr. Jesse Benjamin and Dr. Seneca Vaught, they were always on us about, okay, here's the theory, but what's the practice? Like, praxis. Well, what is that? Like, what are you doing?
There's a gap.
What do we? Here's what it is, but like, what's actually happening? And they were really, really great about pointing to us like different movements, different concepts from world leaders. And the thinking behind like great leaders and being able to see like what did they actually do.
Yeah.
And a great example is a guy named Walter Rodney, and he was amazing in a sense where he was a historian who studied basically the invasion of European forces into the continent and how that underdeveloped the continent as a whole.
Wow.
So his book is called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. So I highly suggest that. But
you're skipping ahead.
I know. Sorry.
Your favorite book recommendation.
Sorry. I don't mean to do that.
No, it's fine. It just means we're
I mean, it's heavy, but then it's dense reading, but it's very amazing. In the sense of like really pushing that thought, but. A great example of someone who had theory, but he was a man who lived by practice. He taught out on the streets of Jamaica with a blowhorn and then on a car, and he talking to people about like what's going on, the history of colonialism in their areas and things like that. And he did the work, like the groundwork, and so. I always encourage people, if you're in school, oh my gosh, pair it with practice. Pair it with practice.
So important.
Even if you gotta take a semester to do an internship, that's doing something
that's what I'm doing right now. That's why I'm dressed in this garb.
Professional garb.
Why am I using these words? I don't understand.
Use them. It's your words. It's your words. So. And then, add that to your knowledge base, and that's really what drove me through my whole experience. So, I mean, then to sit here, they had a theory of what was going on in our schools about why our children weren't learning. And their theory was if there was someone to engage or to interrupt the school-to-prison pipeline by interaction, attendance to school, someone that they can connect to that's on their level, that's their near peer, not their peer, but someone close enough that they can look up to as mentorship. The theory was that this would interrupt that school-to-prison pipeline. And so that was the theory. Then the practice was how do we get people into these schools? And so you have college students, non-college students. You have people who just got out of their workforce and they need to go back in. There are people who are now currently in doctor programs, going for their become a doctor. Others are becoming lawyers after our tenure with AmeriCorps. So you have this huge mix of people with different interests. Some in consulting, some in government, some went back into nonprofit, others went into for-profit agencies. Everybody did something different, and everybody came from something different. And so that gave our children that we were working with a pool of people that they can look up to as not just someone who helped you breathe in, breathe out when you wanted to smack little such and such for taking your cookie. Your cookie. Cookies were a real deal in our cafeteria, especially with second graders. Oh, they were the cutest when they used to fight. Even the first graders said, "They took my toy," and they would be so upset. But teaching them emotional management, because we do the same thing as adults.
For sure.
It's like, who drunk my apple juice straight up from barbershop? He was about to take somebody out. As a grown woman, so we all have these moments where we are like, our emotions get on us, and we're about to take over.
And you know who it is, and then when you figure out what you're like,
Count how many times I did that to myself. I had to do a whole lot of apologies. So I was like, I'm sorry.
You're better. I'll just keep it to myself because I didn't say anything to anybody.
I learned to start keeping it to myself. I did after I had to go and apologize for
apologizing is the worst. That's a whole other conversation.
That is another conversation. I understand.
It takes a lot. It takes vulnerability to apologize.
It really does.
It's amazing. Like multidisciplinary teams and interdisciplinary teams are highly crucial to any type of work, especially and I feel like you can probably speak to this a lot as well, just with your experiences. But when you get to a certain level of achievement, academically, and you're a teacher
your stuff.
You know your stuff, but that also kind of puts you in a silo. So my field is the right field, and my field has all the answers. And so to say, you know what, maybe my field does not have all the answers.
That or just the fact of
crucial,
there's aspects and ideas that you will never come to a conclusion
exactly.
of, because that's just not how you think.
Exactly.
That's just not where your head's gonna go. But someone else who might be an engineer, or someone who, not even just an engineer, someone who knows their community very well. They added a whole source of knowledge that you won't ever come across because you're not a part of that community or you haven't been.
For sure.
So I agree with you. I do agree with when you're dealing with situations and you're dealing with a phenomenon in a particular area. Yes, having a multidisciplinary analysis definitely gives you a way bigger edge than just looking at it from one lens.
Yeah.
And it's just I can't count how many times if you just add another layer, it's like, what? That just opens it all up all over again.
Exactly.
I mean, but then you run the risk of deliberating too much, so then you always got to have that person who's like, okay, what are we doing?
That's where the IO
what are we doing?
comes in.
What are you doing? It's great. But what are the physical things that you actually have to do? So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we've talked about kind of what you've done in the past and kind of sort of what you're doing currently.
Yeah.
We touched on it.
We tiptoed.
But talk about Japan, and I want you to introduce for the listeners and the viewers, why are you going to Japan? What are you doing there? Kind of like what caused you to even want to go there?
Got you. So my journey with Japan started in college.
Journey with Japan?
Yeah.
Another title.
The journey with Japan is it started in college. My one goal when I got to college was I want to study or live abroad. Somehow, somewhere, anywhere. Don't care.
Jealous.
And then I was like, okay, what's the one place I've never been and I have zero knowledge about? And the farthest place I can think of. And it was Japan. That's literally how I figured it out, right?
We just pause? Because
that was my train of thought.
I feel like you know this, but I feel like it's important to actually say this, but people don't think like that. You know what I mean? Like, for you to say, like, I, like, wanted to study abroad. Not only did I, like, want to study abroad, it was a desire of mine, but I was just like, what is the place that's, like, furthest from me and that I, like, know the least about? A lot of people, and, like, I've come across a lot of people that are very afraid to go out into the world and live that experience. Like, I've met so many people that their hometown is the only area they know. Yeah. And to me, that's, like, foreign. But going to college and, like, meeting other people, I realized that I was, like, actually, like, the foreigner. Because I was just like, guys, let's go to do something new. Let's do something different. And like, we're human, right? And so a lot of humans don't really like change and don't really like that aspect. And so it's very, like, crazy to people to, like, do something that's so outside of their norm. But I think it's great that you do stuff that's outside of your norm.
So yeah, I mean, that was my thought process. It was but that's how I always was. Yeah. Like, I had a gist and I had an idea, but I never had particulars as to how exactly am I going to get there? You know, I always had these aspirations, but I never, well, now how do you get there? And so I did that, had that thought, and I started researching. At the time, I had just declared my major, which was Africana Studies. Before that, I was 2 years undeclared. 2 years. Didn't know what I was about to do. 2 years, I was like, let me just take my core classes, test around. But I had an interest in history. Yeah. And so I just started taking classes that related to history. I took my introduction to Africana Studies and all that stuff. And from those classes, I was thinking, like, wow, there's Black people everywhere. So, you know, a symptom of racism, not racism, but a symptom of slavery. But in a sense, yes, Black people were everywhere. And so I was like, all right, I was talking to my professors. I was letting them know, like, hey, I really want to go study abroad. And my idea is the furthest place I can think of. And I was comparing it to the list of study abroad options that our school was offering. Yeah. And I saw Japan. I was like, I don't know nothing about Japan. I don't know anything. And that's probably the farthest place on the list that was offered at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, why not? Yeah. So I started asking our study abroad coordinators, like, what is it about this program? What do I need to do? And so I actively began working on getting my credits together and going to Japan for a semester. Mm-hmm. I got written up my whole application. Yeah. I was going to all my classes to, like, hey, can I tweak my class just a little bit so it can coincide with the study abroad, and I'll come back here for, like, the longest papers ever. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was doing. So I was trying to get the course equivalency, all of that. I mean, but then also at the time, I was just taking my first Japanese language classes, because I was like, let me actively prepare to go.
Who are you?
That was literally my train of thought. It's like, I want to go abroad. but I gotta have something to go, right? So
Most.
let me find my classes that need the equivalencies for. Let me get all the written paperwork. Let me send my application, and let me take a language course because I don't know jack crap about anything.
Most Americans would be like, let me go visit like
the Bahamas,
let me go visit like I don't want to say Mexico because I feel like that's a list.
I mean,
but like let me go visit like Switzerland or something, and people would be like, why aren't you speaking American?
Oh Lord,
why are you speaking English?
Why are you
American's
speaking
not a
American?
language.
Oh, that phrase.
But
so funny. It was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna speak American now.
I know, but I feel like some people really.
No, they really
Americans,
truly.
No offense to it, I'm an American, but it's just like when you're in another country, it becomes so obvious to you that you are
how
an
particular
American.
we are.
Yeah,
we are very noticeable outside of America. We are.
Don't lie.
People can spot us a good 100 miles out.
Yes.
They sniff the air. Well, there's some Americans
in
around
the
here.
pure like volume, the decibel at which we speak, it's hilarious. And so
people can spot us for sure. I mean, I never tried to hide because I'm just like, well, what am I? You see this face?
Yeah.
Where am I gonna hide?
Because I
anywhere
like to observe
outside the world, you know.
I love to observe other cultures, so I typically sit back, and then I like am with a group of other Americans, and I'm like, Americans.
Yeah, there is that little.
I pretend I'm not an American.
There's definitely that temptation to be like, man, I'm American.
I do that sometimes here. I'll just be in a group of
it's hard not. Sometimes it's really hard not to, but then at the same time,
you're just like, I have those
I'm
tendencies
American too.
Yeah.
So when there's gonna be a point when I come, I become the very obvious person that's American. So it's one of those. It's a mood that'll hit you, and then you'll kind of pass as it goes along. So when I did that, I was taking my language course, and my sensei, her name is Negrelli Sensei, and she's like, Ariel, I hear that you're looking to study abroad for a semester. So that was 6 months I was preparing to do. I was all ready to go. Not all ready to go, but like I had all the prep work ready to go to send everything off to get approved by the university there, and they'd be like, well, if we want you, we'll keep you, and if we don't, they'll reject my application. So
have you always been like that big of a preparer?
Oh yeah. I'm very step by step. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes it's so hard for me sometimes, because I do have a lot of aspirations, but I automatically think, well, what do I do to get there? And if I can't get there, I direct line, what can I be doing in the meantime till I get there?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've always thought. It takes a little bit more brain space. It takes up a lot of brain space where I forget my keys, or I might forget my wallet walking out the door because I'm thinking too much. But,
I feel that.
I mean, it's benefited me, and then other times just nip me in the butt. But yeah, she's like, hey, why don't you go with us for 3 weeks? You hit 4 cities. You hit almost 3 weeks. It's like 21 days. Get an intensive course of language and about culture and society, and then you're going with people that you will learn to know while you're there, and let it be an introduction. And I was like, So I had a little time to figure out like if I wanted to send the application or go with my sensei, and I was like, you doof, why would you go to a whole new country and your sensei is going to take you there and you'll be with people you know? and what are you doing? So I woke up and it's like, okay, let me put the application aside. I changed entirely, but it was okay. The only thing I had to put on a shelf was my application. Say, hey, I no longer want to send my application. But everything else, like the classes I was taking, the conversations I was having with people who had studied abroad in Japan, with our sister school, with Kennesaw State, they had come back and I had conversations with them about how did they do it and things like that. So all the prep I did was fine. It worked out.
The end goal.
It definitely helped me towards my end goal. So the only thing I had to do was shelf my application and so redirect my attention to doing a 21-day trip. And so, boom, took my first flight to Japan.
How long was that flight?
Yo, man, that flight is like 14.
Somebody was talking about like
It's 14
how they
hours.
hate flying today.
Yeah, it's 14 hours
wow.
for sure.
Did you sleep mostly or like?
I slept a lot.
Such random questions.
I watched a ton of movies. I'm not much of a talker when I'm traveling because like I like to watch a little bit more. But I had great travel buddies. There were 18 students all together, 4 chaperones, my sensei, another teacher. It was both a culture and art study abroad. So I learned how to do a ukiyo-e, woodblock printing, where you have to like, you have a stencil of a shape and a form and you carve out that sucker with dips and dibbles and everything, and you ink over it, you make a print of the design. I actually still have my print.
Wow.
I have to show you how at some point.
I've done that before, but like not
it's really
like
cool.
I
Absolutely loved it. And it was a dope skill to learn. I think I still have it. If I'll get a chance, I'll try to show it to you. And that was part of it. So that was her, and then another two other adult chaperones. So we were rolling like 20, 22 people deep.
22 people
deep, man. Like we were rolling deep, and
all Americans.
We were all Americans, but you know.
No, I'm kidding.
You really. One of the concepts that we had to learn was group consciousness. That's one of the things we learned before coming.
Sure, yeah.
And our sensei was like, "You're gonna have to look out for each other. You are gonna have to put the betterment of the group over what you ask. You know what you're doing. So you have your individual aspirations, but." 22 of us that got to move from 4 cities, Tokyo, Kyoto, Nagoya, Osaka, back to Tokyo, and stay together and figure out what we're going to do during the day, where we're going to eat, if it's going to be a place where people like, you know, we really had to work.
It's not even like English letters that you can try to
decipher.
Like
one example which was funny was we were in, where were we? I think we were in Kyoto, and we were walking through a market, and we were all trying to figure out what we're going to eat. But we were learning that the Japanese are so considerate that they'll make wax figurines of their meals, and they will display them on the outside of the store, so you can see what they look like, and then also it will tell the price. Well, so we go into the building and we start ordering, and one of the adult chaperones, she's just deep, and then gets her meal. We're all looking at her like, but you don't know Japanese. How did you figure that out? And she comes over, she's like, I just watched. I was like, really? You just watched? I was totally joke with her about it. But that's essentially what you do in a different country. You watch, you see what other people are doing, and you mimic that knowledge, and it's the same thing here.
It's super humbling too. I think.
To learn from another person. You really have to. You have to humble yourself.
When you interact with a person who doesn't you don't speak their language, they don't speak your language, but you still can interact with them.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I just remember one time I was interacting with this person who spoke German, and she was like, I was telling her that I liked the book that she was reading or whatever, and so it was cool to have that moment where it's just like, we literally cannot understand what we're saying, but like we're getting the point across through kind of almost like universal gestures and like sentiment, and so that's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really fun. I mean, we had a lot of those. I only had 2 semesters under my belt by the time we left for my first trip to Japan, and I was very scared to practice. Like, I didn't want to say nothing because I'm like, I'm about to butcher your language. I ain't trying to butcher your language. I was very embarrassed, and I didn't really say. All I was saying, arigato, and then that's it. That's all I was saying. Or itadakimasu over our meals and stuff like that, and I was like, I'm not saying a conversation with anybody. Forget that. And so, but the rest of my fellow study abroad members, they were, some didn't know the language Zippo, but they made attempts to have conversations with people. Others who did, they made attempts to have conversations. And Ariel, you should try.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not trying to embarrass myself. And so,
I feel that on a deep personal
so
level.
I was like, that's a very deep, so I ain't trying to, I do that by my lonesome. I don't need no extra, no extra opportunities
Oh my goodness.
to embarrass my behind. So I was like, mom's the word a lot. And then we got done with the trip. I finally got comfortable, and it was our last day to leave to go back to the States. I got one good bit comfortable, and I was like, failure. And so we went back.
But it's not. It's just,
So from that experience,
building up that courage
for
where when you're going now.
Exactly. So when that happened and we got back, our sensei's like, you guys should try apply for JET, which is the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know about that. But two of my other classmates who were in my same classes were doing it, and I was like, it would be crazy for me not to take this opportunity.
Yeah.
So I applied. We went to the Japanese embassy. All of us, thankfully, we all got an opportunity to interview, which was great. We were so excited. It was myself, my friend Jose, and my other friend Josh. And so we all went to the interview down in Atlanta at different times. I think me and Jose had the same day, so we went around the same time. And I prepped. I was ready. I was getting myself together, had all my stuff together, and then we hear back. Jose gets shortlisted, which is their first choice. Me and Josh got alternate. So if someone from the shortlist decides not to go, we had an opportunity. And so I was like, well, looks like I'm not going. Let me focus on something else.
Wow.
And then after I graduated, a month after I graduated, they give me a call up, and they're like, hey, I wonder if you're interested in, and we want to offer you the position of going to Japan. And I'm sitting in my father's car. I just graduated. I had no money, like $0.
That's the preparatory. You're like,
$0 to my name.
Yeah, college.
6 months later, I'm getting calls from student loan companies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm on the phone with them. It's like, hey, can I give you guys a call back? So I sit in my father's truck. We had just got done clearing. At the time, I was helping my father build his lawn care business.
Okay.
And so we were in the car after a long day out in the sun, cutting grass. And I was just like, I knew at the time I didn't have the money, and I also knew at the time my family didn't have the money, and I was not about to ask anyone. And so I was like, you know what? Let me let this go. So I called them up. It's like, hey, I'm so sorry, but I can't participate. Whew.
But delayed ain't denied.
Yeah, but I mean, when I say, man, I had to get myself together. That was literally the only limitation that was keeping me back.
Yeah.
But
also, maybe like it wasn't
time
for you, right?
It wasn't the time.
There's
and so
seasons to things.
Even that took me 2 years being here, 3 years being here in
growing.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
To realize,
Baltimore, teacher.
Baltimore, being here in Baltimore, and I was just like, yo, I'm not trying to be here. So I was just like, all right, let me take the job in DC, come here to DC, work my butt off, went to serve DC 4 months, then didn't have a job for 5 months, but I was doing contractor work in the city. And so got the call from the librarian, boom. And then the time came around while I was working as a librarian to apply again. And I was like, should you or should you not? And so I really had to think about it. I was like, okay, what's different now than it was last time? Last time I didn't have funds. I wasn't in, spiritually, I can't lie. I was not in a place to trust the Lord enough for that position.
Yeah.
I trusted my own merit.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I did, and I was like, well, I got there on my own, and I was banking on getting there on my own. And that wasn't the case. So 2 years later, the opportunity comes back again, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna apply for this one more time, but I'm gonna do this differently. I'm gonna trust you to lead me on how to do this. I'm gonna allow people to actually help me.
That point.
Yeah, that was one of the.
That is
That's
an
one of the
area
things
that
that I being here in Baltimore really, 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 really showed me that I can be extremely selfish in the sense of not wanting help, and that had a lot to do with my upbringing.
Pride
you
too.
know,
I mean, for me,
it is a bit of a pride. It's and I think a little bit of a pride even for a woman too, because we are constantly told we need somebody.
For a black woman,
and we
especially.
have to depend on this, and that. And you're like, no, I don't. And so when you make it happen because you made it happen, and not nobody else. You're like, you're not about to tell me that I need you to get where I'm not going. You are not about to. And so I really had to learn that God wasn't like people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really had to learn that. Like, he wasn't folk who would ask for help.
Just give me another word.
You go through a whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
To ask for something simple, and they're like, well, I don't know about that. What you mean? I definitely did something for you where it was completely inconvenient for me.
Yeah.
But what I'm asking for you is completely in your convenience. And you still have a problem?
You're like, and I had to
whew, Lord help me, Jesus.
I had to mentally prepare myself to even ask you for this. So the fact that I even asked you should be honored.
I mean, not even honored in a sense. It's a matter of
it's just like,
you know me well enough that
to know that I'm an
independent person, and I don't rarely need help.
Yeah.
If anything, I will always try to make sure I can take care of it on my own. So if I'm asking for help, it's because I legitimately need help. And so I wasn't good at that. I really wasn't good at it. Mostly because of my experiences. People just are selfish and very hormonal, and guys and girls. Just moody about it. So I wasn't about to do it.
Yeah.
But I truly had to learn that the Lord is not them. Like, if I'm asking the Lord for help, he's not going to hold it over my head. He's not going to make me feel some type of way or make me feel debased for asking for help. Like, it actually was a strength. And so, I mean, I still haven't caught on yet.
But it's like you have to like relearn lessons.
I've really learned that, I can depend on God for this. Yeah. Like, I don't have to be scared to ask him for this. And whomever he places in my circle to help me will be a help. It won't be me trying to figure out, hey, how you help? Really? He'll be like,
and
this
you'll
person,
know
this
it's
person,
him.
this person.
Yeah, you know it's him because it's just like things that you couldn't even think or like
exactly
even begin to imagine that would like happen in your life, and it happens in your life. And you're just like, this is God, because I couldn't have pulled this off. Literally, this was nowhere in my plan.
Exactly.
Like,
that and just the fact that like I don't have the wherewithal to do this. So when it came back around to apply, I had a totally different mindset. The Lord had been working on my heart. The main thing how he was doing it was through, I thank God for this brother all the time. The young man Jonathan McReynolds' Make Room album.
I texted you about that album.
When I say that album has been my anthem of transition into this position, that it's been that. Like, every song from when I remember when I was not finding a job, no one was giving me a call back, I was taking all this time to apply for jobs, nobody called me but the library, right? But at the time, they didn't give me a call back. And I was really hurt. I was really angry. I'm like, Lord, what's up, man?
I'm qualified.
I'm very qualified.
I'm overqualified.
I'm very qualified for every position that I haven't applied for anything that I'm not qualified for.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what's up, man? Like, what's good? I was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
I was getting applying anger and blame in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And so, man,
And it's still like a lesson that I'm learning.
And it still continues.
I still have to like.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I promise that album
that live,
will always,
my Facebook time, my Instagram, like,
you know, my Facebook, my Instagram, I will make.
Yeah,
like, it's a declaration. Like, I'm determined to make room. And so
for what's actually important
and prioritize.
Yeah.
And so when the time came to apply, all right, I was like, okay, Lord, all right, I'm gonna do this differently. I'm gonna trust you. And every step of the way, He's brought in my life. My family was all the way supportive. I already talked to him before I even applied. I was like, hey, you guys, I am thinking about this, and I am applying. And off the bat, every one of them, before I even apply, you're going to Japan. We're gonna get ready for you going to Japan.
Wow.
You're going, like, speaking it into existence. Like, and beforehand, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know, they were not on my camp for that. It was just me. Like, I want to go. And they're like, why do you want to go? Like, why do you want to be that far away from your family? What's wrong with you? You know, the whole shebang. You know, especially my parents and my brother and sister. They didn't. I think for them it was just more of, there go Ariel reaching for the skies again. You know, I don't know about this one, Ariel. I don't know. And I think that was like that overall feeling. But this go around, I mean,
it's totally different.
Do it, go for it. Do it, go for it. And I was like, whoa, okay, Lord, that's a sign. Just from the family, you know. And then my partnerships from the jobs I was working with the library. One of the partnerships I work with, doing a soccer coach and a basketball coach for a nonprofit organization in our community, he wrote my recommendation letter. And I read the recommendation letter. I was like, oh my gosh, this is, wow. I mean, I was flabbergasted by what he said about me. For that position.
Surprise you.
And I was just like, this is how you see me?
Yeah,
I was just coming to volunteer for my kids, you know? And
people don't like.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that, like, no one gives feedback that way. Even where I'm working at right now, what we're like talking to people about is feedback, how to give good feedback and like changing the thinking around feedback. But it's just like, people can have an idea of just like, yeah, I believe this about my team, I believe this about my group, like whatever, I believe this about you,
right.
But they will and they'll write in a recommendation letter, but it's just like, you realize you haven't actually said that to me.
Right. You never know.
It's so different when you're like sitting down to like look at what people actually think about you.
Yeah. It was eye-opening. It really almost, it had tears to my eye when I, you know, him as a support, I met a new friend in the area, and they were like, go for it. I'll call them up. I'm writing my essay, and I'm like, yo, what you think about this? Like, yo, don't be so hard. Like, you got the experience. You just gotta put it on paper. And, you know, talking it out with them. Called my friend that's in Virginia. We worked together at City Year. He's like, yo, do it. Talk about this. Read over my letter before sending it in. You know, just people that I didn't expect out of the woodworks, supporting, like legitimately helping. And I had not experienced this type of level of support before. Prior to this, I hadn't had that before. And so I was just like, wow, Lord, you are really showing me you right now. Like, this is amazing. Because I kid you not, I had never seen that type of support before. So from my former co-workers to my parents and my brother and sister to my new friends in Baltimore who are like, yo, you should do it, go for it, do it. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And so I applied, heard back from them. I said, Lord, last time I was their second choice. I want to be first this time. Go into the interview.
Yo, it's totally different when you're first choice.
Got in there, interview with the people. I wasn't sure if I gave a good impression. I hope that at first I was like, man, I really hope I didn't look like I was lax, and like because I had interviewed before in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I just hope I didn't come off as, well, I already know what the process is like type thing. You know what I mean? Like very pretentious and arrogant.
Sure,
like no, so I was really concerned about that because I was having positions on my body. I was very calm, sitting on the edge of my seat, legs crossed, hands folded, and I was just like, man, I hope they didn't read that as me being like too nonchalant, because I'm a very chill person in the aspect. So I was like, man, I don't know. They asked me questions I didn't expect them to ask, because it wasn't like the interview while I was in Atlanta.
That's not what I
prepared for what I did in Atlanta, and here they didn't ask me that. Surprisingly, they asked me more about my position as a librarian than my position when I was working directly with students.
My
carry
now.
Yeah.
They carry.
So I had the skills. So they got back to me. I got the email. Congratulations, we would love to accept you as a 2000 shortlist. I was like, I was at my job, at my desk, at the library. I had to get up, go out into the habitat garden, and I had to throw my hands up and just give God the utmost glory, because I was just like, I did it, but then we did it.
Yeah.
You know? We did, God, you did this.
No,
this time, it was not, for sure, it wasn't me.
And it was a whole different vibe.
Whole different thing. When I say this experience is a complete different experience from when I first applied in Atlanta. Completely different.
Yeah.
Absolutely different, from the support system to the process to what was required. It wasn't too different, but a little bit higher level. And then I also was concerned that I was applying in the Washington, D.C. area.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many well-credentialed people there are in D.C.? Still in D.C. And so I was thinking, man, suckers ain't about to choose my good old country behind from Atlanta. They ain't about to choose me.
Would not characterize you as country, but
yeah, I like
I've been
think,
turned away from this camera the entire time.
No, it's totally fine. I've been thinking oh man, they ain't about to choose my behind. And so the fact that they did, and I was their first choice.
Yeah,
I was just like, validation of the hard work that I know I've been trying to put in while I've been here, really on myself and my mental state. Because having to reject the offer, it hurt me a lot. Mm-hmm. It really did. It made me feel like you're not enough, or you weren't doing that in a sense of not enough in the sense of you weren't good enough to put the money aside to do this. I knew how much money it was, and I was like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Wasn't working as much. I had learned to cut back because I was doing way too much in my college experience, trying to balance working, full-time load, helping run 2 student organizations, helping to volunteer. I was doing way too much.
Student leadership, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, it is. It's something else. Our peers.
Clearly, you should just be my co-host.
That'd be kind of cool, man.
Be south to southeast,
virtual,
from Japan.
Virtual dip-ins. That would be actually really.
That
cool.
would be dope.
Please let me know if you want to do that.
I would totally.
I totally will make, because I'll have ridiculous amounts of free time, and so me being a busy bee, I'll feel it.
No, I'm being actually totally serious.
I totally will feel it. So, yeah. So it's been incredible. Japan has definitely been a journey.
In the works, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a works for a long time. Mostly in my head, then finally making it onto paper, and then it's actually become a tangible thing 2 weeks from now. Yeah. 13 days from now, I'll be making a 14-hour trip to live and work in an entirely different country, and I'm just like, it legit hasn't completely hit me yet. Yeah. I think once I get off the plane and I'm getting into my new apartment, I'll be like, Lord, what did I do?
Isn't it right as soon as you step down, you're like, I'm not so sure about this.
What did I do? What did I do, Jesus? What did I do?
So many of those,
I'm happy that there's so many people who've done the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's a large community there, and then alumni who've done the experience. They're like, it's a huge support system. And I'm just like, I'm not walking into something where I'm completely isolated, but there are things in place where I can be supported. And I'm just like, now I'm in a position where don't resist the support.
Yeah.
Take that sucker, run with it. Ask for help,
for sure.
That's definitely not it's definitely a weakness in the sense of, because I've been so capable of doing things myself. This place that I'm going to now, I'm really going to, I won't be able to do it myself. I'm not on the same playground as before. It's a whole new space, it's a whole new language. I'm gonna have to ask for help, and I think the Lord had been preparing me these 2 years really, and allowing people to support me.
Yeah.
And being comfortable with, hey, I don't know something. Not to say I've never been like that. I have.
But
if
it's
I
in a
don't know,
different way.
I know when something's completely out of my league. Oh, yeah, I don't have extra for help. I'm gonna sit there and look at crazy.
Yeah.
But if I know something and I already know how to do it, I'm not prone to automatically ask you for help unless I come up against a problem or something presents itself. And so I think for this is really going to challenge me to get a little bit comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that's the best feeling though. Because
It's
really
a lot of
where
growth.
You're like,
so it challenges you to grow, and that's really,
as a near perfectionist, you're just like, being in such an uncomfortable, like having to live in an uncomfortable space, frees you up to be like, I literally have no clue what I'm doing.
Right.
And so it's just like, so I don't need to be perfect at this because I don't know what I'm doing.
So
I
agree.
Gives me a little bit of an excuse to be like, I don't, from my mind to be like, I don't have to be perfect at this because literally.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't think I've been a perfectionist. I think for me, it's more of, I like being able for it to be predictable. If it's predictable, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
If it's beyond predictability, and I already know that it is, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I can frame my mind for that.
Yeah.
But if it's being presented that it's going to be predictable and then it becomes unpredictable, that's when I freak out.
So that's funny.
For me, it's an illusion. If you let me know it's not about to be like that, all right, cool, I'm gonna kick it and let it ride.
Exactly.
But if you're saying that it's
gonna be
this way, and then you don't give me no heads up that around the corner is about to be something else, I'll be off my kilter. And so I think for this thing, I already know it's gonna be crazy.
So you're prepared.
Yeah, I am. I'm a preparer. I like to be prepared as best I can. I know that it's going to be unpredictable. I know it's going to be difficult. I just don't know the depth and the breadth of it. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, you're going to have to ask for help.
Yeah.
A lot more than you expect.
Yeah. And I actually like that you put it that way because, like, I'm less a perfectionist, and I actually don't mind I don't mind if things change at the last minute.
Right.
But I just want to, not even let me know, but I just need to be good at that thing. I don't have to be perfect, but I have to be able to do that thing. So when I can't do something, that's when I'm just like, excuse me?
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I don't know. I think a long time ago, I let go a little bit of the if I can't do it, then well. Yeah. I think because I've always had to really work at a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things I'm just not good at. There's a crap ton of things I am not good at, and I've always, out of my siblings, I've always really had to be the one to kind of work at stuff a little bit in a sense. Because my brother and sister, wow, brilliance, man. Yeah. They are brilliant beings. They don't have to do a lot to get the greatness going. Me, I don't have to work a ton, but I do have to work at it. I do have to work at it. So I kind of know I'm not new or oblivious to having to relearn something because I'm like, well, if you're getting jaded in the face by your older brother constantly on the ball court, you better figure out how to defend him. Or, your sister is whipping your hind tail and I don't know, Scrabble or something. You best learn some new vocabulary, you know, or you know, there's always someone that's working at a higher caliber.
Oh yeah.
And so with having those two kind of like my near peer challenges and competition, it really taught me how to like, all right, cool. If I ain't good at it, at least I'll work at something to get somewhere on par. Yeah. And if I get somewhere on par with you and you're the best, then I'm cool. I'm cool with it. Oh. And then I'll find my own.
I can hang with the big guys.
As long as I can hang, man, I'm with it.
By association, you feel me?
I'm greatness by association. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take it.
Goodness.
I'll take it, and then I'll have my own field where I'm the top dog.
Yeah,
I like it. I don't mind it. I don't mind sharing.
Niche market.
I don't mind being in a
the Southeast niche market.
You know, I mean, the Southeast, it's real, man.
Yeah,
it's real. So
it really is. It really is.
Did that tell you a little bit?
No, it really did. It's so like
I know it was kind of everywhere.
Super quick. No, but that's me though. So I was like, that's fine. But super quickly, two goals kind of for this next step in Japan. Like, what do you wanna?
Next step.
What do you care about mostly in Japan, and like what's something overarching that you want to do?
Overarching.
Yeah, one or two goals. Doesn't have to be two.
Biggest thing is to get more comfortable with the language. Second is to build an actual relationship with my kids. And then 3 is traveling. Really take advantage of being close to, you know, different Asian countries. And then, you know, Australia has always been a goal of mine to go to a concert in Sydney, Australia.
Same.
That's literally.
Let's do that together.
I'm like, that's gonna be my big thing in life. That's the one place I really want to check out.
I'm not kidding you. I'm being totally serious. That's my dream.
All right, cool. We gotta look for shows. We gotta look for flight times, and then go from there. And so
it's gonna be on our next podcast.
How to travel. But yeah, those are my goals. Honestly, everywhere I go, I really want to make sure I get involved in the community and be a part of the community that I'm living in, because like, you know, I think it's important. Like if you're working in a community, you need to be living in there, and you need to know the people. You should have some type of relationship with them outside of, I know what I'm saying and you don't, so let me teach you. You know, that dynamic gets old really quickly.
For sure.
At some point, you got to get on someone's level other than you're here and they're there.
Yeah.
You know, that dynamic is efficient and effective in
at a certain space.
At a certain space and time.
Yeah. But it's not.
But it's not always the case. Yeah, it's not always effective everywhere you go. So, being flexible enough to get on level, especially the kids. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah. So excited to meet my kids. I'm really excited to meet them. I hope they are just excited to meet me, you know.
I'm sure they are.
My predecessor, he's been there 5 years.
Wow.
He's considered what they call the unicorns of the jet community, where they stay the whole 5-year contract.
Wow.
Well, not 5-year contract, but reappoint yourself up to 5 years.
Up to 5 years.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to glean as much information as I possibly can from him, and then also the communities that I'll be working with, because I'm like, you know, I really, you know, it's going to be a transition for them. It's going to be a transition for me, and so it's going to take time, and I'm willing to put in the time, and I'm definitely willing to put in the work. So, those are the goals.
And it's funny because I didn't even touch. I mean, it's threaded throughout this conversation, right? But I didn't even touch on work-life balance, and you just we're just no, but you talked about that, because you were just like, I want to do this thing that's related to the career and what I want to do, but I also want to travel, and I'm really excited about the relationships and the communities and just what I'll get to learn, and then personal growth, learning a language, that is work-life balance, and that's so important. Yeah. So that you're not burnt out. And I mean, there will be times where it gets close to that, but you're being able to refill and take time away, and you know.
Yeah, that's my goal. Is really, that's one of my personal goals, is to manage myself better. Yeah. Over the years, I've gotten better. Way better. But there are definitely areas where I want to grow in the sense of you know, I love to be busy. I really do. I
me too.
like not busy, but mostly I like having something to do.
And I feel like that's just like,
You know?
like an orientation, and I feel like that's often kind of like there's a stigma around that, like, oh, why do you want to be busy all the time? But sometimes it's just like,
You want something that is gratifying to have something to do.
I have this energy, so why not use it for
exactly.
a good
Be effective.
purpose?
Yeah.
Like some people do not have the levels of energy that I do, but
Right.
what I'm doing, I want to do something with it. I don't just want to waste it. So
I think that's definitely the goal. Yeah.
I think not that, like, I feel like being busy is like, people are like, don't be busy all the time, but it's just like, it's not even, it's doing things that like give you a recharge, because I get bored if I'm not doing something. And so it's really about taking what is rest for you. So rest for me might be like going to do something, you know. And so
I agree. Just having something to do is really whether it's athletic, whether it's intellectual, or it's me having time to do something. Like doing is big for me. Doing is big for me. It's one of those. It's part of who I am as a person. I know. It is.
She preached on
in certain aspects, I'm gonna have to grow up a lot.
Oh my goodness.
In that aspect of doing in other forms, but
that's awesome. That's awesome. So speaking of doing, that was a perfect transition. I feel like I ruined it by saying that was a perfect transition. But what's an activity like outside of kind of your job, which I feel like you've like talked about different activities around.
What all I've done outside of my
exactly.
job.
No, just one, or like one or two.
I volunteered. Coaching
I feel
soccer.
like that's still like kind of aligned. Like soccer counts.
Soccer and basketball.
And
salsa. That was your prepping point. You dumb. Yes. So when I came to Baltimore and I finally started working,
she got me into salsa
in Baltimore. Actually, the same month that I started working at Pratt which was in October, is when I got introduced to salsa in this area. So I had been introduced by my friend Jose, who I went on study abroad with.
Yeah.
So, you know, he took me to these like socials around in Atlanta, him and his sister, and it was cool. And I was like, oh, this is nice. This is a nice introduction. But I had never done it, been around anything else after that. I was like, I only did it. It was an activity that my friend was interested in, and so I just did it with them. But I transitioned to the librarianship. I had been here for already a year, but I was working a lot in DC. I only came back to Baltimore to sleep and pass out. That was it.
Sleep and pass out?
Sleep and pass. Two very different things. Most nights I passed out. Weekends I actually got to sleep.
Okay.
But yeah, I was commuting 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
That's insane.
And then the same travel time on weekends.
Now that I'm working in like
a
real
commuter
workplace,
life
it's like commuter life,
it's
especially
real.
in this Northeast.
Yeah, it's very real. And so
I have to put on the Baltimore accent once this interview.
So I was doing that and transited the library job, and I was like, all right, I need something to do. So my coworker, who I was training with at her branch location, she's like, why don't you come up with me to dancing? And I was like, sure, something to do. And started off and began.
Pills.
Thanks.
Literally pills it. You're amazing.
I'm super still learning. I still need to go to a lot more classes.
You say that, but like I don't know if you actually watched you dance, and you're like a very good dancer.
No, I honestly, you're right. I really haven't. I mean, I have like a couple of clips of like fun parts of.
I thought you were gonna be like, you're right. I am a really good dancer.
No, Lord. I mean, I'm decent for as long as because like I really wish, because when I first started, every Monday, every week, went to classes, free classes over at the Medusa Lounge in Baltimore, and I was like, man, this is epic, you know. I was stiff as a mug, you know. I was doing this.
Oh, that's me still.
You know, I couldn't get with someone being in my personal space. And I already like a male, like why do I need to follow you?
I was taking it back to the previous.
So I was just like, I don't know about this, but
that was your independence coming out again. But
it was my
salsa has learned you
it's taught me a different type of independence. It's taught me to infuse. It's not even really dependence. It's two individual people following each other.
Right?
It's just one person's literally called a lead and the other one's called follow.
Yeah.
But like legitimately, you're following each other. Like, well, what's she doing with her body? Okay, let me match it. Then we're gonna try a move. Mm-hmm. Is she gonna read it or is he gonna read it? If I put my hand up and do a little styling thing with it, will he catch it? You know, so it's literally a language on both ends, and it's kind of fun.
And it's connection with each individual
person,
and
so
dance, honestly.
Yeah, it's taught me. I've learned a lot from salsaing. I really
salsa, bachata,
bachata again. Yeah. And so I love it. I didn't think I would like it so much because it was a challenge. It was a challenge for me.
Oh, it's still a challenge.
I had to learn. I really had to learn. I was like, man, why can't I get this? I got basketball, I got soccer, I could do volleyball, I could do any athletic sport.
I'm glad that you're saying this because that's me right now.
You know, because you're sitting there like, what's the problem? It's just 3 steps. Yeah. Why can't my feet do this?
Salsa is hard.
Salsa's hard because you really have to move, think, but also listen. And if you don't get the steps and watch, there's a lot going. It's a lot like marching band for me. I had to remember that marching band.
But they're like low-key a cult.
Yes, we are, man. Gosh, I miss us a lot. It's crazy. Now that I'm thinking about, I've really been a part of some very niche communities.
I'm telling you.
Band is that's a fun group, man. Yeah, you got a bunch of like. I miss us. I really do. I miss a group of very nerdling band people, and we just break out into our instruments, and it's fun. I loved it. And it kind of reminds me. Salsa doesn't remind me of them, but they remind me of each other in the sense of the creativity, the level of creativity that goes into that form. So I've been very blessed to have a lot of cool experiences that kind of play off of each other and help each other. And now another one. So I love salsa, and I love going out to the social spaces. Like I have a really fun time. It really challenges me. Get better, I'll learn how to read people, learn how to watch, learn how to lead too, because I'll kind of learn how to do a little bit of leading and stuff like that. So it's been a great experience, and I'm really, 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 really determined and to keep up with it while I'm out in Japan. And thankfully, there are a social group right in the area that I'm living in, and so I'm like, okay, I might go check her out, keep my chops up, But then, I'll be
like all of the academic people who haven't really seen will be like, who is this?
What are you talking about?
Actually, what are you doing in this interview, though?
Having fun.
Really cool. Exactly. This is me in my relaxed state. But you already said the book recommendation, so we already.
Yeah, totally recommend that. And if you don't want something that's heavy, check out Sabaa Tahir. Her name is spelled Sabaa, Sabaa, Tahir, Tahir. And she has a great series of a female woman of color who's basically trying to upsert the status quo of an empire that's taking over her group of people.
I need to read that.
And it's a sci-fi series. It's so good. It's great writing, great character development. If you like traveling and getting your mind into another world, but you can humanize with each of those characters, you're gonna really love that series. So it's called Ember in the Ash. Ember in the Ashes. Excuse me. That's the first book, and then there's 2 others after. So it's really good. I highly recommend it. You would love it.
So interesting. I feel like I have to insert a personal plug and say, "Go." Did you hear about my article?
No. What? Wait, you posted it. You did post it. I didn't get a chance.
Published author.
Oh, okay.
Which is wild. But it's about women of color in leadership. So
nice. Okay.
and women in
published.
general. It's wild.
That's awesome. Published.
God.
That's dope. Like legit.
But listen, that was again something that I didn't imagine. It was not even on my radar. I wouldn't have even done this myself.
Right.
Like it
that's
was
crazy.
Literally an assignment for class.
Thanks assignments for class.
So yeah, that book just reminded me.
Nice.
Of
dope. Yeah,
it's
great.
We've still got a ways to go. HR Florida vacancy, summer 2019.
Plugs in.
I know. Actually, I did thinking about it in retrospect. I was just like, man, I wish that I had like the name of the podcast pre-prepared for what I actually said a few months ago. Because I was just like, dang, I could have had some listeners.
You can add an addendum to it. Updated.
I hope so.
Totally. I think you should be able to do that.
I should ask.
Yeah, you should totally be able to make addendums to published work. I mean, you have to do it all the time.
Yeah. I don't feel weird about like it is published, but it's like I'm just not even a whole book. But it's great. It's great.
It's dope.
It's just weird for me to like.
Congratulations by that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Personal.
Takes it.
But thank you for being my first guest on.
Thank you for thinking of me. I really appreciate it.
We should start our own show.
I'm totally down with creating. I love creating new things. So, if I'm able to do it, I'm down for it. So, just let me know how best I can do it. I might be off grid for a minute, figure out my whole life. But are
you gonna do anything like website, blog?
You know
so
what?
that people
Honestly,
can find you, keep up with your journey.
I think for me, I'm still figuring out how I'm gonna do that. I know I don't post very regularly, but my goal is to definitely personally journal a lot more, or journal my experience, because I remember when I went to Japan the first time how much I valued being able to go back and read about all the things I did. I'm like, wow,
I need to be better about that.
That helped out a lot, but I also would love to see if I could do either just video recordings, kind of like how an Avatar, he had video cam of his diary, and I kind of want to do something similar to that, but I'm like, storage space, and then
the cloud.
No, that's totally valid.
Not
OneDrive, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
OneDrive,
or
Google,
getting another
Google
terabyte hard drive.
I don't want to alienate any future sponsors, so it's just
a drive, a cloud somewhere in the world. So I mean, I honestly haven't thought about it. So if you have any ideas,
I will, and then I'll let the people know
about how I could do that. Because I definitely want to. I want people to know what I'm experiencing, kind of walk hand in hand, kind of be with me a little bit in that. But then also not make it too much about them sticking with me, but making sure I pay attention to what's going on with me. And so I'm thinking one of those things I do like once a month type of, hey, this is what's been going on.
Yeah.
Taking videos of my school, doing little cute fun things like that online, that type of thing. I'm not the greatest at it, but I will attempt it.
I mean,
because you never know.
We took 5 more audio recordings of this.
I know, right?
This is gonna be.
Thank God for something like this. I'm hoping I can export it.
I don't even know how long this episode is.
Probably 2.5 hours.
It's really
but
long. Oh my God.
The first episode for Jesus and Jollof, man, that thing was long.
Really?
Yeah, their first episodes are usually pretty long.
All right, so there you go, people.
And then you just start getting your pace.
Bear with us. It's a 2-part. So if you have a 2-hour commute like you did, these are for the 2-hour
perfect times of just audio,
the hour commutes,
visual, and
watch it when you're going to work and then when you're
right,
back.
exactly.
So
it's perfect.
Watch it, listen to it.
But if you have any recommendations,
I
please
will for
let me
sure
know.
recommend stuff.
Because I'm just trying to, what will work best for me.
And then I'll update when the video drops with your review. With your
let a kid know.
Yeah.
You gonna do a YouTube channel?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully. That's the plan.
That'll be dope.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hey, your life has never been more engaging. Do you like that?
I like that. You Courtney. No,
Thank
but I
you.
do like that.
Thank
though.
you for joining
Your
us.
life has never been more engaging.
This has been an awesome
That's
episode.
what's up. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Seriously.
Legit.
I appreciate you.
Awesome. All right. Bye-bye.